Howdy. All right. So today I'm going to make a video. It's going to be about, there's going to be murder. There's going to be death. There's going to be overdose. So anybody who doesn't want to hear about that in a dramatic tale, I'd click out now. Because what I'm about to get into right here is about to get really descriptive, derogatory in some sense. I'm going to say some things that people don't want me to say. Okay, so pertaining to what I've been saying in most of my videos, 2021 was a horrible year. It was a horrible year for everybody. A lot of people dealt with a lot of different things in between 2020 and 2022. I think a lot of people can't tell their stories, though, because a lot of them are gone now. A lot of them have passed away. But I'm going to tell my story because I'm still here. And my story sticks out. It sticks out like a sore thumb. It sticks out like that thorn when you go to grab a rose off of a rose bush and you miss that one thorn in the back and it, my shit sticks out like that. So, where do I want to start at? I want to, because it was fresh on my mind when I woke up because I ponder this stuff while I'm asleep. Okay, so we're going to start with probable cause affidavit. Because I said when I sent my messages out to all the state attorneys and stuff, I said, I want to know why I was investigated. I want to know why I was investigated so hard and so deep because of what happened. I have the right to know why people came into my life and why they were so hung up on watching me, every move I made and every little thing I did. They were so goddamn thirsty for me. It made no sense. It made no fucking sense. Okay. So I also wanted to make a video like this too, because I want to make sure that I have everything right. I've been working on this for 2 fucking years now, people. This story here for 2 years to make sure that I can do this and get this out right, because it wasn't right what happened. And now I'm ready to fight. No more flight. No more. We're going for this one. So, when I started, I was using drugs. Now, before I even get there, I don't use any drugs now. I'm on medical marijuana, and that is a rare fucking use to me. I haven't smoked it in like 6 months. I hit it for the first time in like 5 or 6 months, like the other day. So whatever anybody wants to say, they can fucking say to me now. Because where I'm at in my mind, in my soul, I'm ready to fight for whatever. Let's go. All right, so let me get down to it. Probable cause affidavit. I was investigated in 2021 so hard by federal agents, by state police, by probation and parole. It got really bad. It got really sick. It got really dirty really fast. What I noticed in that is they really didn't have a plan. They really just jumped in. Like, why was my name used as a target in this? Why did I become a target in all this? Because I have all the proof that I wasn't doing shit up until they started following me. Before that, nope, I was working every day. I got all the background that I need for that shit. I was working all the time until coronavirus hit. That's when, sadly enough, I had to stop the job I was at because they shut their doors. And I had to just get away from it. I tried some stuff on my own, but it just doesn't work out when you can't go to any house because you're not allowed to go to any house. Or they want you to wear these bum-ass face masks everywhere you go to save everybody from yourself. I was mad about all that from the beginning, especially when you feel like you had this coronavirus in 2019, October of 2019, and didn't understand what was going on with you. But then when 2020 hits and they start showing what's going on with people, and you're like, wait a minute, I had that shit 5 months ago. What are we doing right now? That scared me right there, because then I was wondering bigger on what was going on. And I'm allowed, if I see it with my own two eyes, to wonder what's really going on. No matter what's going on in the population around me, I'm just in a small little town in the backside of fucking Pennsylvania that nobody cares anything about. And we're in a Commonwealth state, so it's controlled by your government. You can literally go 20 minutes from here, 10 minutes from here across the line. And if you have any kind of argument with anybody, it's up to them to press the charges on you, or the cops walk away. Here, if they see the slightest reason to pick up the charge, they will, which makes it so dirty, because I've seen so many cops pick up shit that they didn't have to just for a case. Dirty shit, people. Really dirty shit. But that's because there's dirty cops. I don't want to say the whole system's dirty, but these dirty cops that get into the system and find the spots where it's dirty really use it to their advantage. Really use it to their advantage. So in my case, probable cause affidavit, I want to know why they started watching me. I want to know what reasons they had to watch me during their 2021 investigation that happened here in Mercer and Lawrence County, Pennsylvania. It was supposedly part of a $318 billion investigation where they hushed Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. They censored all these places because they're like, listen, if people catch on to what we're doing, you got to censor them. So here's some money. And that worked for them. Oh, look, there goes a cop right there. Cop just went past my house. Doesn't that make sense? Anyways, no, he lives like 3 houses down. It's no big deal. I just like bringing it up when I see a cop, because there's like a couple videos back on my TikTok where there's a cop like parked right down the street when I first moved here. And I was like, oh my God, there's a cop literally right there while I'm making this video. Yeah, his family lives there, but that's really no big deal. So I want to know why they had a reason to come after me. I need to see that for my own sake, because I seen what the outcome of it was, and it was really bad. It was a really, 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 really bad outcome, where now certain people that were a part of it on the supposed good side, they don't want it to come out because it doesn't look good for them anymore. Where in the beginning of this, it looked so good for them because they were trying their damnedest to make a case out of nothing. Out of nothing. And I say it again, nothing. They found someone, me, who had picked up an addiction because I was going through some problems in life, which since I was 19 years old, drugs came into my life after my mother was murdered. I started picking up drugs really heavy, and then I picked them up really heavy when my stepdad comes to me and tells me, hey, what would you say if I was the one that killed your mother? What if I told you that I said I was with my dad because we have the same exact name, and I was with him up in Kalamazoo, and I said that that's where I was. Well, instead, I went and found her and killed her because we hated her. Them were his exact words to me. But my response to him, instead of praising him, was, what the fuck are you saying to me right now? Because, that was my mother. Regardless of how anybody felt, that was my mother. So he took it back, and he didn't want to go with that anymore because he realized what he had said to me wasn't being praised. So he took that away. So I go and start telling the police and Warren in 2004 about that, but nobody wants to listen to me because now it shows that they were negligent on their end, that they weren't doing their job because they had already had this information since it fucking happened, but they didn't do the investigation right, okay? Then I found out he had a stab wound in his back that he never told anybody about. So he had got that taken care of at some hospital, get it looked at. And why didn't he ever tell the cops about that? Because that was my mother stabbing him while he was trying to kill her. While he was killing her, I'm sorry. She stabbed him because at the time of it all happening, they had got back on drugs together. My mom left. She went over to Warren, which is like 20 minutes from here. It's another state, though. We're on Pennsylvania, Ohio borderline. She goes over there. Then she calls for help because she didn't like the lifestyle that was happening. And she had called for help before when they had fallen out, and he had just went and picked her up and helped her. But this time it was different, see. This time he had caught her with a dope dealer. The dope that he got her turned back onto. So when he finds out that she's with another dope dealer, he snaps out. And I come home to seeing the whole house trashed, up to the mirror in the bathroom, punched right in the center, and then lipstick, my mother's lipstick, "Goodbye, Justine," written right in the fucking mirror in lipstick. Now, to me, it looked like a fit of rage, like a love, And then how they found my mother, just laying dead underneath a bush by some railroad tracks with her pants folded up beside her. His DNA was on her the whole time. His DNA was there the whole time, but they did not want that to come up. They do not want to talk about his DNA on her. Why? Because it's a negligent on their end, and they don't want that. So this is the Warren Police Department in Ohio I'm talking about with that case right there. Now, let's jump a few, okay? So now, we're going to just get back to 2021 because that I told you right there, check this out. So 2021 comes, right? Now, while I'm being investigated, I start seeing on Facebook numerous people coming in that I didn't ever care to talk to. As far as even the man who I was just talking about, the stepdad, his niece comes into my Facebook at the same time. "Hey, remember when so-and-so and we were doing this and so-and-so and when we did..." I'm like, yeah, okay. I remember. We were young. I was trying to hit because we weren't blood and you were cute. But past all that, why are we talking about this? So I started feeling funny about it because I'm like, all these years, she never cared to say anything to me. And she's had many options to say stuff to me. And I know why she didn't say anything to me, because her family now hates my family because of who my mother was. And that makes so much sense. But now she's coming into my Facebook, 2021, right? "Hey, remember me? How are you? Da-da-da." Shut up, bitch. Angie, shut up, bitch. Dirty bitch. So then I start seeing, at the same time, I start dating some chick who has 4 DUIs. Where when I started dating her, I didn't know this at first, Then, like, after a couple days, she tells me she's on house arrest, for a DUI. And I'm like, okay. And then I start noticing that she has 2 ankle bracelets on. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's one for each fucking leg. What'd you really fucking do? What did you really fucking do? But then I started having ideas of things that I could do with the ankle bracelets, like grabbing onto them in certain positions while we're naked and stuff like that. It became a good time for a hot second. Then she goes to jail out of nowhere. And she says to me, "Why don't you just stay in my house? Help me with my bills, my rent, and my electricity, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, okay, because that sounded right at the time, because now she's saying she's pregnant to me. So I'm like, okay. So I do. And I do anything and everything I can to make that work. And I also take money to the jail every day for her, right? 30 days goes by and she gets out. It was like 3 weeks, 30 days, something like that. She gets out. As soon as she gets out, within 2 days, she doesn't ever want to see me again, right? I'm like, what's that about? Because it wasn't like that at all when I first met you. Like, what had happened? It seemed like total different person even. I'm like, what's really going on here? So I go back to where I went to my dad's house. I was staying there, right? Well, as soon as I get back there, I get put on probation because I was pulled over when I was dating her. She sent me somewhere to pick up some dope. When I got there, they didn't have the dope. It just wasn't what it was supposed to be. So I don't come back with what anybody intended me to come back with. I didn't come back with that day, right? But as I'm coming back, right when I get to the last exit before her house, I get pulled over by the state police. There's such a joy in this one. This Pennsylvania State Police are such a joy in this whole fucking investigation. They're gonna be so fun. Fucking liars, all of them. Them in Pennsylvania probation and parole, and I can prove it. I'm not just saying this shit. I can prove everything I'm fucking saying. So they pull me over right when I got off the exit to her house, and the cop's like, I'm like, when he comes up to the door, he's like, "Can you step out of the vehicle, please?" And I'm like, yeah, whatever he tells me, that right there is not what he put on paper. Because he says on paper that he had pulled me over because I didn't turn on my turn signal to go into the other lane to go around a semi-truck that has hazard lights on the side of the road, right? So he's telling me, what he's saying in that is that he was parked in the onslaught that where the freeway comes by, where the police always sit to hit you with speed traps and shit. Like the not turnarounds, but turnarounds for people that need to turn around that aren't supposed to turn around. Them places. So he's telling people that this is what he's saying. I'm sitting here facing the freeway. This guy, me, comes by, but magically, before the exit, he's sitting where there's a semi-truck instead of over by that semi-truck with its hazard lights on, right? He's across the street on the other side of the freeway, supposedly watching from afar, and sees me along with all the other traffic come by, and somehow there's this magical truck that I don't put my... first off, I always do that. Whenever I see a hazard truck, I put my turn signal and go around. But when I get out of the vehicle that night, he reaches right fucking in, people, right in, and grabs some shit out of the middle. I didn't even see it. All I seen was a pen, but he says he has this thing. It's like this big. He says, that's a pipe. Okay, it's as big as my pinky, like my nail. Okay, a piece of glass. He says he has some dope, which was like, I can't even show you. Like, I'm holding my phone, but it's like, can you see in between? Yeah, like that much, right? Then he has a vape pen that he pulls out that belonged to her, the girl with the 4 DUIs, who bought it for me. Yes, with her medical card. Yes. So that pen that they have in evidence right there is hers, okay? And they were pulling me over to try to get me in a case where she was going to be the fucking, the accuser there. She was going to be their main witness, right? Check this out. She's a main witness in another investigation. I met the dude in jail when they put me in jail over some dumb shit. She said that he killed somebody because he gave him fentanyl. I met that guy in jail, regardless of what anybody says. He was so nonchalant about it, like, she's just a lying bitch. Like, and I'm like, oh, no shit, I met her. No shit, I fucking met her. I know. So, I don't want to get into his shit too much more than I already have, but from my view there is that she was using other people to get herself out of trouble, and she's been doing this for years. Right, Natalie? I know too much now because you motherfuckers made me investigate this. You made me come out of my shell and become this person to shut some shit down, because I'm not going to let you do this to anybody else like you did me. Like, the whole Facebook shit, watching people on Facebook, on social media, needs shut the fuck down. Okay, they said from the jump FBI created that. Now I'm full believing it because of the way this investigation is going. Just the way that it went, where at the end they wanted me to hush up and not say anything about it. And just go on with my life. Huh. Yeah, right. Go fuck yourselves. All of you. Who in their right mind would think that somebody's just not going to say anything about this? Unless that person was guilty of something, then I'd probably shut my fucking mouth, right? But no, like, I see a lot of other people guilty of things here. Most of it's false accusations. They're guilty of that big time. A lot of it comes from some personal shit, but we'll get to that later. Not on my end, on someone else's end. So, guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg here, okay? My mother's murder is just the tip of the iceberg. You have no clue what I'm about to get into here. So, when I started using drugs, right, and then I meet her, strangely I meet her, and she goes to jail. While she's in jail, I'm still using, because now me and her had a good connection, I thought, in the beginning of that. Every time I go to her house, she'd wrap her arms around me. I missed you. How are you doing? Little love kisses and stuff. And I realized all that was a show. She's put on a show there, because she had already either been in on what was happening, or she was planning it her damn self, which is really fucking sad, right? So, as soon as I started using drugs, before I even met her, though, when I got back into using drugs and I knew it was something I didn't want to fucking do, I'm like, all right, dude, you got to get away from this. It's so fucking hard because now I'm living in a house where there's drugs nonstop. So I go to the methadone clinic. I go to the methadone clinic, and that place doesn't help me. That place doesn't help me at all. They kick me up from the 35 milligrams that you start on up to 120 milligrams within like a month. They had me so fucking high at that place that I was delirious for the most part of what was really happening. I would just go home, put on something on my phone and pass out and just nod off for the fucking day. I didn't care, right? So all that's going on. Some shit happens where there's a $318 billion federal investigation that goes on where they're silencing TikTok, social media, and anybody involved because if people catch on, then it's going to fuck their case up, right? Well, hi, I'm one of those people it fucked up with. So when I start noticing all them people like Angie and Michelle and John and, other people getting into my Facebook and they always only want to make connections with me when I'm leaving my house to go meet somebody or right when I come back in my house. Right? So I'm like, all right, these motherfuckers are trying to get me because it was their fake ass taxi driver that met up with me. Strangely, how I met him was they were tapping our phones. And this is how easily I'll say they were tapping my phones. Nobody was using their phones, right? Nobody. Me or the guy at the house were using our phones, right? My phone's facing me like this, and his phone's facing him, and he's sitting over here like his phone's facing that way, and my phone's facing me, right? I look down over his phone, and I see my face in my phone come across his phone and take a picture. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And he's like he's so high and fucking, he's like, that must have just been a reflection. Motherfucker, how did that reflect off my phone through a window in the kitchen that you can't even see and reverse over through the fucking dining room and come back off of your window and then hit your phone? Because that's the only way this shit would fucking work. Oh my God, people are so fucking dumb. So I noticed that, right? That nobody's on their phones. The phones are down in pockets. And I say, I'm going to go to the store and pick up some money to go get my PlayStation, right? When I get to the store, it's only a couple minutes away, but when I get there, isn't that taxi driver just sitting there with the newspaper open? He's not even from our county. He's from Lawrence, where this whole investigation started, right? He just got a newspaper open, just waiting for me. Me. Nobody else waiting for me, right? Our phones were tapped completely. So I'm like, hey, are you working right now? He's like, no, what do you need? And I'm like, I need to go over and pick up some stuff of mine from the pawn shop that I had pawned. And he's like, oh, sure, okay. And I'm like, well, can I just grab the money and jump in? And he's like, how about we meet back at your house? Which makes no fucking sense. But half the shit he did made no sense, so it's cool. So we go over there, and he wants to start talking about immediately stimulus money. How much stimulus money did you get? None. I get like $500 a week because that place shut down. But other than that, none. Oh, man, you could tell me I've seen money hand over fist. I'm like, what is he really trying to get out of me right now, right? And little do people know that I got a few people in here talking, so when things come up, we talk about and argue with each other about shit so that we can get things going on our head, how it's really going on out here, because a lot of people are fucking fake, especially around here. Like, I am down to just myself because it's so fucking fake around here. Anybody who does anything real is so far from actual real that they're just actually living their lives to the best that they can to stay happy and keep things simple, but nobody's really doing real shit. Your lives are fucking fake. Nobody knows how to stand up for what the fuck they believe in. Everybody just sits on their fucking asses and goes about their little fucking nice little fucking perfect lives, not wanting to care to pay attention to some real shit's going on out in the fucking world. Nobody wants to do that anymore, right? Not here. Not here. Not here. In this little backwoods fucking town, nobody cares about real shit. This shit has stayed so silent for 2 fucking years that lets me know how integrated, corrupt it is and evil in this fucking place. Listen, I got sober for this shit. Like, I was sober for so long that when I started fucking up, I knew the ways that I had to take to get out of it, and I took them routes, to get out of it. But when the big part of it happened, they just let me sit with no drugs around me for 2 months and figure all this out and how I wanted to go about it. With no plan, just to say, get sober and tell your fucking story, right? So that's what I did. And, I didn't even have to even get into it, So here's what I'm talking. Here's the big part, though. So when I noticed all these people on my Facebook, all these people that didn't belong there, because I've always had Facebook and I've never had a bunch of people jump in my Facebook like that. Like, hey, you want to be friends? Want to be friends? Want to be friends? Want to be friends? No, I don't. I don't fucking even like you. But to let people just see in your life, it's no big deal to hit that request option and respond to it and confirm it and just let it ride out like whatever, I just didn't think it was turning into what it was until it already turned into it. So I got all these people on Facebook that are all, and I mean all agents, all federal fucking all state police officers, probation officers, and agents during this investigation are now in my Facebook, right? And look, it's so big, I've been hacked numerous times. I just got this new phone and I'm putting this new video out. I'm not going to stop until somebody fucking answers me. So they're all on my Facebook. And they have that taxi guy now. He's asked me if I can get heroin. And I'm like, well, I can't, but I know people around me that can. I'm right in the fucking heart of Sharon, Pennsylvania. There's drugs everywhere. What do you want? What do you need? I got you. Plus, at the time, I was using too. So someone to tell me, hey, if you get me something, I'll hook you up. That was the way to go, baby. I don't give a fuck. So when people would ask me if I needed anything, I'd be like, yeah, I know someone. So I'd message this taxi guy, hey, if you need something, I got someone coming by real quick. And he would show up. And that happened just a couple times. But I was never once the fucking dealer. I don't care if they want to say that I was this middleman. I don't give a fuck. It was on a couple fucking 20s, dimes, a fucking boy. It wasn't like I was trafficking tons of fucking drugs. It was a couple little fucking dimes and 20s of fucking just fucking boy. Anyways, I was never the main dealer. What's funny is, though, the way that they went about that part right there, the way they went about that whole part right there is pretty fucking, it's devastating to look at and to see what their plan was, because now I know what their plan was and what came of it, because they don't feel bad about it. They don't care who dies. They didn't. What they wanted was me gone for years or me dead. And that's a fucking fact. It's sad, but it's a fact. And I'm going to show you how right now. So while on my Facebook, I go outside and I meet this taxi guy from another county away that doesn't belong here. And I'm already kind of onto it, but I don't want to make any speculations, because I want to see this with my own eyes to see if it is what it is, because I'm starting to have my thoughts, right? Now, by this time, I'm seeing people, I'm making videos in my phone about people hacking me and spamming my Google search when I call it out on what's happening. As soon as I say certain names, and I haven't said any of them names in these videos, and I don't want to, because I want to wait for them names. Everybody in this knows who these fucking names are, so I'll just hold off, because I already got the names in a safe spot. Everybody knows who these people are now. Okay, enough people. So while I'm seeing, Michelle, John, and Angie, all on my Facebook every time I go to do something, and then they want to talk about shit. It's not even them. It's agents. It's fucking pure agents. Just trying to get their narrative to follow the way that they need it to make it look bad for me and not bad for them. But what do? I walk in one day and get on Facebook and get on Messenger, and all three of them are right there, and I see all three of them pulled up in my Messenger, and I'm like, okay. That person, and a couple other people I think are nothing but rats and snitches and federal agents, and I think they're trying to set me up. Boom, post. Listen, people, as soon as I post that, them three names over here in my Messenger did not answer back. Not one of them said, what are you talking about? Not one of them said, you got to be on drugs to think that. Not any of them said anything. You know what happened instead? Boom, boom, boom. All of them dropped. All of them dropped, disconnected immediately. In sequence. They were right fucking next to each other. They were all the same fucking people, or they wouldn't have dropped down that fucking fast. They were on the same fucking computers doing the same fucking shit, acting like they were all three different fucking people. This was all federal agents, state police, probation, and parole. Okay? Or else it wouldn't have happened like that. Boom. Boom goes the fucking dynamite, right? So next, what do? I start talking to people in the streets about it. And I'm like, yo, I don't even know what's going on my Facebook. Because I'd walk into someone's house and their phone would start fucking up. They're like, wow, I never got a call from this number before. I'm like, oh, you're being hacked now because I'm hacked and I don't know why. But now you are, because they want to see where I'm going and who I'm talking to and who I'm around, right? This one lady's house, they hacked every fucking device in her house. From her Wi-Fi to her TV to anything these sick fucks could attach to. How to get a case, right? So I call their names out, blah, blah, blah. And I start talking in the streets. And people, what are they telling me in the streets? There's 2 probation officers running around using female probation accounts or any account basically to set people up. Okay? Debbie and her little fucking sidekick. So I go on Facebook and I say, listen, people, watch out. There's 2 probation officers, female probation officers, and I named them. I named the one for sure. The other one I could give a fuck less. They're both retarded as all hell. They lie and they conspire to make things happen. And this is what happened after that, okay? So I call their names out and I say they're trying to set people up. And boom, at that moment, listen, people, I quit. I quit fucking worrying about it. I quit thinking about it. I quit caring about it. By this time, I had left the methadone clinic because they were tracking me at the methadone clinic. That girl with the DUIs, when we stopped talking, anytime I had my phone on me and I go to the methadone clinic, she'd be there. But if I didn't have my phone on me, she wouldn't be there. But she'd show up really fast, like she was somewhere close. What the fuck were they really trying to do here, right? They were trying to get me on delivery and trafficking is what they were trying to do, and their damnedest they was trying to. And they used her as the fucking main person in it to try to use her account to attach to me is what they did. So I call out them 2 probation officers and I let everything fucking go. I'm like, whatever, right? Now, mind you, 5 months go by and each of them 5 months, my probation officer, because I was on probation at the time and I had already called them out. I don't give a fuck, right? They must not have told my probation officer, but hold on. No. They must have told my probation officer because check this out. Now, my probation officer's showing up and he's getting clean pisses off me. Anytime he shows up, I'd give him a piss and it's clean and he'd stand right there. He'd stand right there. There was one time where he wasn't watching me that he shut the fucking door to talk to the other dude that was at my house, the one who's now passed away. But here's what he says to me. And this lets me know that they were in my Facebook. He starts telling me about messages that only would be known if he's seen messages between me and that guy. And he's like, don't let anything happen to him. And I'm like, don't talk to me like that. Don't put that kind of shit on me. And he's like, well, he's a good guy. I'm like, yeah, I know. We all know that. But don't fucking come and tell me not to let anything fucking happen to him. He's a grown-ass fucking man. Why are you even talking to me about shit like that, though? Like, you wouldn't even know that any messages like that were stated between us unless you were reading my Facebook fucking messenger. So at that point, I was onto it completely, right? And I'm like, yo, and I'm telling him, and I'm telling the dude that he's talking about, I'm like, listen, I need you to hold SD cards. I need you to hold these flash drives that I have because it has information on it that I want to get out if something happens to me. Because at this point, I'm afraid something bad's going to happen to me, right? Like death even. I still worry about that a little bit. But it's grown me to not even fucking care anymore because of how bad this whole fucking thing was. So he's coming up for them 5 months and he's giving me piss test. You know, everything's clean. Everything's going back. Or I'd be in jail. I'd be on some kind of fucking hold, right? But no. So 5 months go by, and in them 5 months, for like the last 2 months, that guy had overdosed twice, and I saved his life both times. And that's on camera because I was trying to make sure that I kept some kind of diary of it to show him what he was doing because he was doing stuff a little heavier than everyone else. But when he saw that there was Narcan that would save him, he stopped caring a little bit. And once I saved his life the first time, he thought that that was a way out. Like he could get as high as he wanted, and there would always be me there to save his life. We talked about it. I told him I don't want a body on my hands, man. I can't have a body on my hands. It's not that he was pushing the factor of I must have really cared so much because I saved his life. And I'm like, no, you got it all wrong. I just don't want a body on my hands, man. Like, I would do that same thing for anybody if they overdosed, if I had the power to do it. But don't take it any more than what it actually is. I'm saving your life because that's what we're supposed to do. So I don't know what happened after he came back the first time, but he started using a lot. And we all were, though. We all were. I don't want to get into that too deep because there's a lot of stuff there that I could say right now that make it look really bad on all parties. But what I witnessed through them last 2 months, it got a little deranged to the point where I had to tell him to stop coming around. I had to call him out on a few things, and some things happened. But then, so he calls me one night and he's like, hey, I just got off work. I just got paid. I'm trying to go get some money. And I'm like, okay, well, it's like almost 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I don't know where to go. He's like, well, we could probably go over to Brookfield and get my check cashed. I'm like, I don't have a ride. And he's like, well, we'll see if we can give them to somebody. So I did, one of my neighbors. But when we get over there, it's too late. They can't cash the check. So we go back to the house. And he's like, you mind if I stay here till morning? You know, because his house is like all the way across town. And I'm like, yeah, my dad's kind of mad about you stealing stuff, but I'll make it work, you know. So I do. The next day comes, his paycheck, 8 o'clock comes, the ride gets there, we go over, get his check cashed. Whatever he does from that point on, I don't know. I didn't want to care to pay attention too much to it. I had my own shit going on, right? So we get back to the house. I don't know how long it was from that time till everything went down, but soon enough I find him overdosed. I don't have any Narcan because I had just given it 3 days prior. The last one I had given to somebody down the street who's now also passed away from an overdose afterwards. But that's what I mean. Like, there's so much in this that's dirty. It needs to come out. So when 911 gets called that day, now mind you, I said in the beginning of this that our phones were tapped, right? And I also said that I called out them 2 female probation officers, right? Okay. So my phone's tapped. I said that. Now, this is 5 months later, though, right? Would it still be tapped? How deep are they in this? Okay, right. And the whole indictment thing just went down with the FBI saying they got 35 people from Mercer and Lawrence County combined. And the state police were involved. Probation and parole was involved. Everybody that I've already called out is involved in it, right? So we call 911. It's at the house I'm at. So they know that it's involving me somehow, right? It's heartbreaking. It's fucking heartbreaking. So now they think it's me overdosed. Up to 10 minutes go by. I'm not even joking when I say that we just waited. I'm like, what the fuck? There's an ambulance up 3 blocks that way, and there's an ambulance 3 blocks that way. 3 to 5 minutes it takes for an ambulance to get here, right? No ambulance, no cops. Who pulls up, though? Them 2 probation officers I called out on Facebook that aren't even connected to me in any way, shape, or form. I wasn't given them as a probation officer. I never once seen them besides watching them walk around in their green vests like retards going to their fucking little houses. And that was the only way I ever knew them. They had no connection to me, none whatsoever, right? So I was giving him mouth to mouth because I didn't have any Narcan, and I was doing chest compressions as best I knew how because I've never had to do that before in my life. And they show up. Well, because I start regurgitating. Because when I breathed into him, some of his breath, I must have put too much in his lungs. I don't know, but it came back into me out of him, and I started throwing up. I didn't want to throw up anywhere around him, so I threw up over the porch a little bit, then I ran into the kitchen. When I run into the kitchen, I look out the window and I see a car pull up. And Jody, he's like, who's that? And I'm like, I don't know. But who gets out of the car? Them 2 probation officers. And they're just walking so nice and slow up to the porch. Like, we're just going to let this motherfucker die. We got this one. Right, girl? Right, girlfriend? We got this one. Tell me to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up! Dirty bitch! So I see them and I'm like, what are they doing here? And I go out to the porch and I'm like, what are you doing here? Oh my God, what are you doing here? And it clicks in my head who they are. And I'm like, no fucking way. They think this is me. Hey, what are you doing here? I'm trying to save this man's life. What are you doing here? Oh, we got dispatched because it was your address. So that's going to be your argument to tell the courts is you got dispatched because it was my address, right, bitch? That's what you're going to tell people. Okay, cool. That's if any, and now listen, it gets way worse than that though. If any judge will listen to that and not see what the fuck I just really said in all this, it gets worse. So they start telling me there, I'm like, can we save his life? Now these women are probation officers and they have a car full of Narcan. It's in the middle of this fucking pandemic epidemic deal. They have it in their car. They have to. I know for a fact now that they had to have had it in their car, okay? Every probation officer, police officer, fucking ambulance does, okay? They even give it to you when you get out of fucking hospitals and out of rehabs and shit. You just get it. So everybody has it because they know what kind of epidemic we're in, right? They don't have any. They don't get any. No. So what they were thinking is either it was me dying, but once they showed up, they're like, no, but if we let that kid die, I bet he had something to do with it. Listen, God works in so many mysterious ways. And if them women would have just done what was right, that man would still be here today. But they went with that whole thing against me. So the reason why he's dead is because of me, but not because my hand was in it. No. Because they wanted something bad to happen on my end. They wanted me that bad. Okay? Why did they even show up? The ambulance, I want to know if the ambulance and cops even got called by us. If that just wasn't them and then they just held them off. Because it took so long for the cops and the ambulance to get there. But I'll give it to the cop, though. The cop that showed up, he even said, what the fuck is wrong with that bitch? Because all they wanted to do from the time the cops and ambulance showed up was get a piss out of me. And they tried 10 to 15 times to get me to piss while I was giving a statement. My statement is still factual to this day as it was that day. I've never changed my statement at all. But what they did that whole time is, can you piss in this? Can you piss in this? Can you piss in this? Can you piss? And the whole time they're just walking over his body. Like, I'm watching this happen. And I'm like, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with that bitch? Why does she want to piss so bad? And I'm like, I don't fucking know at this point. I don't know what. So much is going on, you know? I'm crying at the door. I'm like, can we fucking save this man's life? What are we really doing here? Why is this about me? It's heartbreaking. It is. Because the whole investigation was about me. That part of it was. And I want to know what their probable cause was now. Because now that man's dead. And all that they were doing was trying to get a case out of me the whole time. That's all they cared about. Because of Michelle, she had 4 to 5 DUIs. And you wanted to come after me. Let's look at records on that one. Let's look at records and see who's worse, me or her. Okay? And you were about to let her out to possibly go and drunk drive and hit someone else. How many DUIs have I had? Go ahead and look back and see how many DUIs I've had, motherfuckers. And possibly hit and hurt and kill somebody just to get me on some fucking bum-ass drug charges. Really? Really? That's how our system fucking works? Really? Really? I believe the methadone clinic was involved too. I think that they were watching people's piss during this investigation. And I think that my HIPAA laws were broken as well because of the way that I seen it go down. I was randomly piss tested by different people every time I'd go into the clinic. It was never the same person. It was someone that never even worked there. And anybody can say, well, that's just because it might be maybe they weren't finding employees or whatever. Okay, we can say that. But then why? Because I worked right hand in hand, right next to somebody on a fucking line at Applebee's at the time, where I said to him, hey, when you go to the clinic, do you get piss tested by a different person every single time? He said, no, it's always been that same girl. What are you talking about? And they would tell me, when we tell you have to be here at this time, you have to be here at this specific time. Because I would be late sometimes because I'm doing other shit in life. So it's just a piss that I have to give you. I don't give a fuck. You're open. I'll come in whenever the fuck I want. I don't give a fuck about that. Their whole thing was a lie. Everything about that whole part was a lie. Because why would he? I get piss tested by the same girl every time. Well, why am I getting piss tested by a different person every single time? And then I left the one time, and after I left, I sat outside for like 10 minutes, and I watched that person come out and get in a car and leave. What the fuck's really going on here? So that's the corruption that happened during this whole thing, okay? Then, I'm sitting there talking to these probation officers. They're like, we think that we should go in and have you go sit on 24 or 48 hours just to get your mind cleared up because we don't want you to spiral out of control. We're trying to save your life right now. Meaningless, because they're asking me all these dumbass questions about what drugs I've been using. And I'm like, I don't fucking know why you're asking me all this. It's not been what you fucking or want me to say it is. So whatever you're going with, let's just get that shit over with. This is what they do, people. This is how dirty probation and parole is. On top of the state troopers, the state fucking police in this is how dirty probation and parole is, okay? So they tell me, we're just going to put you away just to make sure that, just for a couple of days, a day or two, just to make sure that you don't go out of control. But what they had said just before that is I finally gave them the urine in the cup. I don't even want to go about that part because that could be so argued. But all I did was go over to the sink and use some hot water with lemon juice. And the cop was right behind me taking my statement while I'm doing this. Because I acted like I was pissing, but then when I turned on the faucet, I had my back to him, so I just simply put it under there. There's lemon juice right next to the fucking sink, lemon, and I fucking put it right in the cup, and I'm like, here you go. I did that because I just wanted to know for a fact what was really happening. And I've only told people a few times about that part. That piss wasn't dirty. Here's what they say, though. They told the judge, because now I go in and see the DA. I'm in jail now. 3 days later, the DA comes to see me. They tell me I had something to do with this. And I'm like, no, there's videos in my phone showing that I wanted him to live. I never wanted that man dead, so there's no way I would have actually intentionally harmed this man, right? I saved his life already. I would not intentionally hurt him. Okay. So what are we going to do now? And I'm like, I don't know. But if the feds weren't watching, it would have never happened. Because the only reason me and him even got close was on Facebook around the time that they started watching me the way they were. And I started begging him to come around and help me because I knew I needed someone I could trust. And me and him went out and had drinks and talked to bars, different people, been around to see this happen. And we've talked about him helping me with, SD cards and flash drives and stuff like that. So I said, if the feds weren't watching me, this would have never happened. Now, we don't talk again. They're like, okay, we're going to let you out. We should have you out by this Thursday. Okay, by this Thursday, right? Now, look, I talked to him on a Monday. They said by this Thursday, okay? 3 Thursdays passed, and I'm still sitting in the jail. And every time I'm asking them, why am I in here? They give me some frivolous documentation showing that I missed a court date. And then they're hitting me with all this stuff from CYS because my ex got a case going on and my son's in that house. They're doing anything they can to put fear in me, but none of it's fucking working. So then I see him. I don't know. I don't know if I didn't talk to them again. I don't think. No, I did. I talked to them one more time and they're like, okay, so you saw him with so-and-so and you saw him give him money. Yeah, but I didn't see what it was for. And this guy has a gun, so I'm not going to play with this shit. So whatever that was for, could have been gas, could have been anything. But I got out of the car. And I'm not going to change that because I didn't want to see what the fuck was going down. None of my business. So they send me, I'm in jail. Then they have me talk to mental health. And mental health lies too and says that I've been doing crystal meth for way longer than I ever said that I fucking even tried it for. They made so much shit. I go in front of the judge, right? When I go in front of the judge, this is the worst part of it all. They don't even give me a second. There's nobody else in the courtroom. There's the girl over here typing, so I know there's documentation of what I'm about to say right here. There's the girl over here typing. There's the judge up here. My probation officer's back here. The 2 sheriffs walked back out. They left me in there by myself. My public defender, who I never spoke to one time during the whole fucking thing. Nobody ever came and gave me a public defender for any of this probably because they were holding me on a detained from probation and parole. I wasn't allowed to talk to nobody. But I know why they didn't want me to talk to nobody, because of my truth. They didn't want me to get my truth out in time. So he comes up to me, he goes, "Is there any reason why your piss would have been dirty that day?" And I'm like, it wasn't, you know? So them probation officers that day, though, when I gave them that piss, she takes it and I watch her over in the corner. She looks at her and she goes, "It's light, but I'm going to go with it." She says it under the slightest whisper too. "It's light, but I'm going to go with it." Light with what? Okay, light with what? Mind you, they're saying this man died of a fentanyl overdose, okay? Crack laced with fentanyl. Anybody else, find me a case in America. I found one out of all these years. I found one in Florida where this has happened, because it's not possible. It's so fucking, it's not plausible. I've never heard of it before, and you won't ever hear of it again. Now we're going to hear of it because I said this. So they said it's crack laced with fentanyl. I'm like, I go in front of the judge. He says to me, "Did you tell them probation officers that your probation officer allows you to do cocaine?" I want to let anybody just give that a couple seconds to see. I'm going to say it one more time. Did you tell them probation officers that your probation officer allows you to do cocaine? Does that make any sense to anybody in any way, shape, or form? Would that help me? Would that have made them let me out? Or would that have helped my probation officer? Would he have not gotten in trouble for that? Right? But they ride that one. They ride that right there and put me away for another 30 days in a rehab. They ship me 4 fucking hours away. Why? Because they don't want my story getting out. They just want to hear my conversations on the phone and see what I have to say, and they hold me in on my truth. They don't hold me in because I'm wrong. They hold me in on my truth because I'm already like, them 2 probation officers showed up first, and I don't know why. So then I get to ponder sober, right? And while I'm in this rehab, I decide to get on Suboxone, because when I get out, I don't want to fucking meet anybody and fuck up and possibly overdose and die, because I know I got something to say. So I get back on Suboxone. I get out. But while I'm in there, I'm telling my counselor, I'm like, "Hey, this is the best part. Check this out." I'm like, "Hey, what do I do when I get out? Who do I call? I got to call probation and parole. What do I do?" Because I know they gave me a whole nother year. They revoked all my probation over this dumb shit. They revoked my probation. Over a false, dirty urine. They revoked my probation, made me do a whole nother year. So who do I see he's like, "You don't have to see nobody." I'm like, "What?" He said, "I called probation and parole. Your case is in Philadelphia. You don't have to see nobody." I'm like, "Okay, well, can you check again? Because that don't make no sense." He's like, "Yeah, sure, I will." Like, he tells me a couple of days. Yeah, I called again a second time. They said that you don't have to show up. Your case is in Philadelphia. And I'm like, why the fuck would my case be in Philadelphia? But here I am in Pottsville at this rehab. So I'm like, Philadelphia's right down the street. Maybe they sent my stuff here with me. No. It's because that's where the investigation came out of in the beginning, that I had no clue I was a part of. But because I was the smart guy who wanted to pay attention to shit, they had to send my shit to Philadelphia when everything went down, because they knew they fucked up. So I get out. And I think like 2 or 3 weeks go by. I don't call any probation officer, because at this point I'm like, fuck you guys. Fuck all of you people. What I've seen here happen is so fucking dirty. It's so fucking injustice. It's so fucking sick. I didn't put the whole thing together at that time yet, but I had already started thinking like, this is just fucking ridiculous. So finally, I have a couple things happen. I see my probation officer. He shows up. "Why didn't you call me?" Because I was told not to. I said my case is in Philadelphia. They told me not to. "Oh, well, you were supposed to get a hold of me immediately when you got out." Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Little fucking stocky little fucking wannabe probation. Shut the fuck up. I'm glad you ain't a cop no more, because if you're doing this type of shit for them type of people, you must be really fucking dirty. Stay in probation where you belong. I didn't say that to him. That's just how I feel now because of how it went down. So he's grumbling, blah, 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 and he's like, "Here, piss in this." And I piss in this cup, straight from my dick to the cup, right? He looks at it. "It's dirty, got cocaine in it." I'm like, there's no fucking way that has cocaine in it. Let me see another cup that you fucking don't have. Go get one out of your trunk and let me see it, and let me piss in it again. So he's all fucking, "All right, I'll do exactly what you said." Goes out to his car, opens his trunk up. Before I even get there, he has another cup in his hand, and he's taking that cup and dumping it into another cup. I'm like, "No, I want to piss in a cup." But he doesn't let me. He tells me it's dirty again. Okay, cool. So you know what I do next? This is exactly how it happens. I said, "So what's up with them 2 probation officers lying like they did?" That was all I said. He says, What are you talking about? Lying. Who has more credentials? You or them? Who's lying? I'm like, I didn't even say what they lied about yet, bro. Why are you snapping out? What nerve did I hit? And then I knew. So I get a message on Facebook around the same time that says he was at a Thanksgiving Day party telling everybody at the party that he knew for a fact I killed somebody. And that's when I got mad enough. I got switched probation officers too, and I didn't even asked for it. They gave me a new probation officer who had to have some other probation officer with him every time that he came to see me to piss test me. And it was never dirty. I never gave a dirty urine once, and I will stand by that. And now I'm off probation. You know what he says too? The probation officer says? He tells the judge he should have stayed in that clinic. That clinic would have helped him. He needed that clinic. I don't go to them clinics anymore, and I haven't been to them in over a year and a half now. I only needed to get help for what I got help with, but because of your bum-ass investigation, I had to go through with it a whole fucking weird way instead of the way that just needed to be done to get it out of my fucking life. I had to go with that process, and on top of it, have to deal with you guys' bullshit investigation the whole fucking time I was trying to get my ass clean. So then this happens, right, real quick, because I know this might end. Then while I'm in there talking to the DA, I'm like, you fucked this case up. You let me see what you did here with my own eyes, and you messed my mother's case up. 23 years ago, my stepdad kills my mother, and nobody wants to solve that one. You guys just don't even listen when I tell you what the fuck happened. You just go the other fucking way with it. No DNA, blah, blah, blah. But this time they listen to me because 2 days later, I go over to Warren to get my mother's paperwork, and it magically has just disappeared. Somebody just came and picked it up. 2 weeks after that, the man who I've been saying killed my mother kills himself. They went and talked to him about what I said, and they threatened him. And he couldn't take it, and he killed himself. I made videos on YouTube. On this exact YouTube account, I made my first videos were only about this. I just didn't think it was going to blow up to what it was, because if you look back on my videos, it only talks about my mother's murder. I didn't tell everything because I wanted it to come out as factual as it could be and not make it about any more than what I wanted it to be about. I want it to be about the facts, not the bullshit. Not the years of being followed, investigated by people under personal fucking reasons. That'll come out too. I just want the facts to come out of what really happened in 2021 during that investigation. What was their probable cause to come investigate me? Because then if you look at that investigation, you're going to see on Facebook is where it all happened. Then you're going to track it back to see why me and that guy were talking on Facebook, to why that it all came down to that guy overdosing and to not getting the help he needed, because when the call went out, these fucks thought it was me. And they didn't come there to save nobody. Their only intention to come was to kill somebody. There, I fucking said it. And the proof's in the fucking pudding, because 5 months earlier, I said right fucking there. These 2 probation officers are setting people up on Facebook, and because this $318 billion investigation was to censor people, they weren't fast enough to censor me. Because when I called them out, all they could do is shut down their messengers real fast. And then I was like, oh shit, this is really fucking happening. I'm on this fucking ride. Let's fucking go. It had me so fucked up at the time, people. But what they thought is I was just going to be some drug addict and I was just going to die off. You know, bad life, bad parenting, bad family, drug addiction. You know, there's no way he could come out of this one. Here I am. Here I am fighting every fucking... breaking my fucking phone a lot. But here I am fighting the fucking good fight. As an American citizen, I demand to know why I was investigated. I demand to know why these people came into my life. I demand to know what it stems off of. And that's why I sent everything out that I sent out to people. I sent stuff out to Michelle Henry. I sent it out to Jim Jordan. I sent it out to Matt Geitz. I sent it out to